Alex stood at the podium, his heart racing as he gazed out at the international audience. The bright stage lights illuminated his face, but it wasn't the glare that made him sweat. It was the weight of this moment. His English wasn't flawless. He knew his grammar wasn't perfect, and his accent occasionally betrayed his nervousness. Yet his confidence was unwavering. Taking a deep breath, he began speaking. His words weren't polished, but they carried conviction. The audience leaned forward, captivated by his story and courage. As Alex's voice filled the room, his mind flashed back to a very different time in his life. Growing up, English had been his greatest challenge. In school, he would dread being called on to read aloud. His classmates snickered when he mispronounced words, and their mocking laughter haunted him. Even his teachers, though not intentionally cruel, often seemed to expect little from him. If you don't improve your English, you'll never get anywhere in life, one had said, shaking her head in disappointment. These experiences left Alex feeling small and hopeless, but something within him refused to give up. He remembered sitting alone on the playground one afternoon, clutching a tattered English workbook. He had made a decision that day, a decision that would shape the rest of his life. "I'll speak English every day," he told himself, "even if I make mistakes. I won't let fear stop me." Now, years later, standing before an audience from around the world, Alex was living proof of that promise. His childhood struggles were no longer a source of shame, but a testament to his resilience. As he continued his speech, the room filled with quiet admiration, not for his perfection, but for his unwavering courage. Alex's journey toward mastering English began with a simple but powerful decision. He refused to let his weaknesses define him. After years of feeling humiliated by his poor English skills, he decided enough was enough. He stood in front of a mirror one evening, replaying the moments of ridicule in his mind. His classmates laughing when he stumbled over words, the patronizing comments from his teachers, and even the stranger's puzzled expressions when he spoke. Instead of succumbing to shame, Alex declared, "I will speak English every day, no matter how many mistakes I make." It was a bold promise, but fulfilling it wasn't easy. The first few days were nothing short of brutal. Alex started small, trying to use English in casual conversations. When his classmates asked simple questions like, "Did you do the homework?" he replied hesitantly, fumbling with words. Instead of encouragement, he received laughter. "That's not how you say it, Alex," they jeered. The sting of their mockery was sharp, but he reminded himself that mistakes were part of the process. In public, the challenge was even greater. At the market, he tried asking for directions in English. "Excuse me, where is, the fruit shop?" he stammered. The vendor looked at him, puzzled, before responding in Alex's native language. Embarrassed, Alex thanked him and hurried away, but he didn't give up. Each awkward interaction was a learning experience, teaching him new words, phrases, and how to communicate more clearly. At home, Alex practiced relentlessly. He read English books aloud, even if it meant stumbling over every other word. He watched English movies with subtitles, mimicking the actors' dialogue. He even started keeping a journal in English, where he wrote about his day, mistakes included. Despite the ridicule and the countless moments of embarrassment, Alex's determination didn't waver. He understood that growth came through persistence and discomfort. Each mistake he made was a step forward, and each laugh he endured was fuel for his resolve. Slowly but surely, he began to notice small improvements, not in his perfection, but in his confidence. Alex was no longer afraid to speak, and that made all the difference. One day, determined to continue practicing his English in real-life situations, Alex decided to visit a local cafe. He rehearsed his lines on the way, whispering to himself, "Can I have a cup of coffee, please?" over and over again. By the time he reached the counter, he was brimming with a mix of nervousness and excitement. The barista greeted him with a warm smile, and Alex confidently stepped up. "Can I have a cough, please?" he blurted out. The words hung in the air for a second before the barista's lips curled into a grin. "A cough?" she asked, raising an eyebrow playfully. It took Alex a moment to realize his mistake. His cheeks flushed bright red as he stammered, I mean, coffee. A cup of coffee." The barista laughed lightly, but her tone wasn't mocking. It was kind and understanding. "Don't worry," she said, still smiling. "Coffee and cough do sound similar. You're doing great." She even repeated the correct pronunciation for him, emphasizing the difference. Alex tried again, this time nailing the request. Despite his initial embarrassment, Alex left the cafe with more than just his cup of coffee. That seemingly small encounter taught him a valuable lesson. Mistakes weren't something to fear or avoid. They were stepping stones to improvement. For the first time, he realized that most people weren't out to judge him for his errors. On the contrary, they often appreciated the effort and were willing to help him along the way. The experience boosted Alex's confidence. He no longer hesitated to speak, even if his English wasn't perfect. He started to see mistakes as opportunities to learn, not as failures. Every misstep brought him closer to fluency, and every kind person he met reassured him that his efforts mattered. Alex often chuckled to himself when he thought about that day in the cafe. "Can I have a cough?" became a funny story he shared with friends, one that encapsulated his journey of learning English. It was a moment of vulnerability turned into a triumph, reminding him that courage and perseverance always outweighed perfection. As Alex's journey to improve his English continued, he realized he needed consistent practice and a supportive environment. One evening, while browsing the internet, he stumbled upon an online English-speaking club. The club's mission was simple: To create a space where people from all over the world could practice speaking English without fear of being judged. Intrigued, Alex joined immediately. The first session was nerve-wracking. As his turn to speak approached, he could feel his palms sweating and his heart racing. But when he finally introduced himself, something surprising happened. The other members responded with encouragement and enthusiasm. They didn't laugh at his mistakes. Instead, they applauded his effort. Week after week, Alex participated in the sessions, growing more comfortable with expressing himself. The club became his safe haven, a place where he could practice without fear of ridicule. Outside the club, Alex found new ways to refine his skills. He started recording himself speaking on his phone, a habit he initially found awkward but soon came to appreciate. Listening to his recordings allowed him to identify areas for improvement, like mispronunciations or awkward pauses. He mimicked native speakers from podcasts and videos, repeating phrases until they sounded natural. This self-feedback loop became one of his most effective tools for progress. At work, Alex took his learning to the next level by immersing himself in English. Although it was tempting to fall back on his native language during stressful situations, he made a conscious effort to reply to emails, engage in small talk, and participate in meetings in English. The effort wasn't without its challenges. There were times he stumbled over his words or struggled to convey complex ideas. But his colleagues appreciated his determination and often helped him find the right words. Every email sent and every sentence spoken added to his growing confidence. Alex learned that courage wasn't the absence of fear, but the willingness to push forward despite it. Each step, no matter how small, brought him closer to his goal of mastering English. His commitment to practice, bolstered by his courage, turned every mistake into a stepping stone and every challenge into a triumph. Years of hard work and determination finally bore fruit when Alex received an unexpected email from his manager. His company had selected him to represent them at an upcoming international conference, a rare and prestigious opportunity. As he read the details, Alex felt a surge of pride followed quickly by a wave of anxiety. Speaking English in everyday situations was one thing, but delivering a presentation to a global audience? That was a different challenge altogether. For a moment, doubts crept into his mind. He thought about his imperfect grammar, his accented pronunciation, and the possibility of embarrassing himself on such a grand stage. But then he remembered the promise he had made to himself years ago. I will speak English every day, no matter how many mistakes I make. This promise had guided him through every challenge so far, and it wouldn't fail him now. Alex threw himself into preparation with the same determination that had brought him this far. He practiced his presentation daily, speaking aloud in front of a mirror and recording himself to fine-tune his delivery. He sought feedback from his online English speaking club and even rehearsed with his colleagues. asking him to point out areas for improvement. Every practice session made him more confident, not just in his speech, but in his ability to convey ideas effectively. When the day of the conference arrived, Alex stood backstage, his heart pounding in his chest. As his name was announced, he took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. The bright lights and expectant faces of the international audience were intimidating, but Alex focused on the promise he had lived by. He began to speak, his voice steady despite his nerves. His English wasn't perfect. There were minor mistakes here and there, but his passion and confidence shone through. The audience wasn't focused on his errors. They were captivated by his ideas and the sincerity in his voice. By the end of his presentation, Alex was met with resounding applause. It wasn't just a moment of professional success. It was the culmination of years of perseverance and courage. Alex left the stage with a newfound sense of accomplishment, knowing he had truly conquered his fears and stayed true to his journey. Standing at the podium under the glow of the stage lights, Alex felt an indescribable mix of emotions. His heart was still racing from the nervous energy that had accompanied him onto the stage. But as he looked out at the captivated faces of the audience, a calm determination washed over him. He had come a long way from the shy, uncertain boy who had once struggled to string together a sentence in English. As he neared the end of his speech, Alex paused for a moment, scanning the room. Then, with a voice filled with sincerity and conviction, he said, "I'm not perfect at English, but I never gave up. My mistakes were my best teachers. Every time I fumbled, every time someone corrected me, I learned something new. And today, I stand here not because I'm flawless, but because I was willing to try, to fail, and to keep going." He let those words sink in for a moment before delivering his final message. If you're afraid to speak, remember this. It's not about perfection. It's about courage. The courage to make mistakes, to face your fears, and to keep moving forward no matter what. The room erupted into applause. The sound was thunderous, but it wasn't just the volume that moved Alex. It was the warmth and sincerity in the audience's reaction. He saw people nodding, clapping enthusiastically, and even wiping away tears. After the speech, a line of attendees formed to meet him. Some praised his courage, while others shared their own struggles with learning a new language. "Your story inspires me," said one young woman. "I've always been scared to speak, but you've shown me that mistakes are part of the journey." Another man added, "Your confidence is contagious. It's not just about English. It's about believing in yourself." Alex left the event that day with his heart full, realizing that his story had touched lives in ways he never imagined. His journey wasn't just about learning English anymore. It was about inspiring others to embrace their imperfections and find the courage to chase their dreams. Sitting by his desk with a steaming cup of tea, Alex opened his laptop and began typing. The title of his blog post came to him effortlessly. "I always speak in English, even if I make mistakes. The words reflected his journey, years of struggle, perseverance, and eventual triumph. As he wrote, memories flooded his mind. He thought back to the boy who had been mocked for his broken English, the nervous young man who once hesitated to order coffee, and the determined professional who had stood confidently on an international stage. Alex realized how far he had come, not just in his ability to speak English, but in his personal growth and resilience. In his blog, Alex candidly shared his experiences, from his early fears and embarrassing mistakes to the moments of triumph that shaped him. He described the ridicule he faced and how it fueled his determination to improve. Every laugh and every correction, he wrote, taught me something valuable. My mistakes were not failures. They were stepping stones. He also recounted the pivotal moments, the supportive members of his online English club, the kind barista who turned an embarrassing moment into a learning opportunity, and the thunderous applause at the international conference. These experiences weren't just milestones in his language journey. They were life lessons in courage, persistence, and self-belief. In the blog, Alex offered encouragement to his readers. He reminded them that learning a language is a process, not a race. You don't have to be perfect to communicate, he wrote. You just need to be brave enough to try. He emphasized the importance of speaking, no matter how many mistakes are made, and urged his readers to view errors as opportunities for growth rather than reasons to give up. By the time Alex finished writing, he felt a sense of fulfillment. His journey, once marked by uncertainty and fear, had become a source of inspiration for others. Publishing the blog, Alex hoped it would reach people who, like him, hesitated to speak out of fear. His message was clear. Courage, not perfection, is the key to success. In sharing his story, Alex aimed to ignite a spark of confidence in others, encouraging them to embrace their flaws and speak boldly. Alex ends his story with a heartfelt message, looking directly into the camera or addressing his readers with warmth and sincerity. If I can do it, so can you, he says, his voice filled with conviction. I started from nothing, just a dream and the willingness to try, no matter how many mistakes I made. Every stumble was a step forward, every misstep a lesson learned. And you can do the same. He leans in slightly, as if speaking directly to each viewer or reader. Start today. Speak up, even if your words aren't perfect. Make mistakes and let them teach you. Don't let fear hold you back. Your confidence will grow, and so will your skills. Every time you speak, you're building a bridge to your dreams. With a smile, Alex concludes, remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being brave enough to start. I believe in you. Now, believe in yourself. As the video or post wraps up, Alex adds a final note. If this story inspired you, or if you know someone who might need this message, please like, share, and subscribe to support this journey. Together, we can help more people find the courage to speak up and chase their dreams. Let's inspire confidence, one voice at a time. He leaves his audience with a feeling of hope and empowerment, reminding them that their journey, like his, begins with a single step.